Boomhauer69 channel, and today Boomhauer's gonna do a talk video here for to help people in Michigan who are going to be going through this winter storm, and kind of help people give some ideas and stuff. All I'm gonna do is just simply talk about what I would do in a winter storm situation and stuff, and like a power outage situation during a winter storm, and how I would stay warm and cook and stuff. But all I would do is in a winter storm situation, if the power went out, if I owned a generator or a solar setup, one of the things I'd make sure to do is have plenty of gas for the generator, or make sure all my solar stuff was pretty good charge, weeks ahead of time when there was plenty of sunlight out and stuff. Make sure the power stations and batteries were charged up and stuff. If I had them sort of things, I am unfortunately too broke to afford a generator or any solar setups right now, because I just can't afford it. Don't have the money. So if you're some solar company out there and you want to send me one of your solar power stations to try for free, get in touch with me, because I could use one. But since I don't have all that stuff, I'm lucky enough for cooking purposes to have a natural gas stove where I can simply light the pilot on the natural, light the burners with a match, on the natural gas stove, so I can cook. I have a natural gas range stove with oven. The only thing is, in a power outage situation, I couldn't use my oven because my oven has a electronic automatic pilot. It's not manual pilot. Now my old stove I had before I replaced it, my old stove was manual pilot, where I could use it in a power outage situation, no problem. But my new stove, one of those, was electronic automatic pilot, and I wouldn't know how to manually light that pilot, or if there's a way to even manually light the pilot for the oven to work. I don't know. So, and being that it's natural gas, I'm not going to find out the hard way and hurt myself. But on the stovetop, I can just simply strike a match, turn the gas burner on low, strike a match, and light the stovetop manually, and be able to successfully cook on top of that and stuff. And I always have pots and pans with lids on, like saucepans and stuff. Now, if I was going to have to resort to like an outdoor fire pit, say I didn't have a natural gas stove, and I had to resort to a fire pit to cook with, or a fire pit, or even a gas grill. If you got a gas grill, that's a good way to cook with, or a charcoal grill. If I had to use a charcoal grill or a fire pit, I'd make sure to have like a Dutch oven, as they call it, one of those cast iron pots with a lid on it that they call a Dutch oven, or sometimes they're made out of what they call enamel ware and stuff. So I'd get me one of those Dutch oven pots and be cooking some sort of stew, like maybe cans of soup or something would be good to have. Now, what I did was, is I went out and I bought some sloppy Joe manwich sauce and some ground beef, and if I have to, in a power outage situation, I would cook up sloppy joes for cooking purposes. If the winter storm was to knock out my power, I would just make up some sloppy joes and throw it on a bun and cook everything on the gas top. That's what I would do as far as like cooking wise. I'm just going to use my natural gas stove. You can easily get creative. Like, I got some, I don't have them with me right now. I got some little metal tins that I one time went to the store and bought some little potato things in, and I bought these little, what they call them, I think they call them Main Street Bristol, but they're little diced potatoes, and they come in this funny little tin. And if I had to use, and I had no other way to cook, if I had to use that, I would get me some little sticks and stuff. I got actually out on my porch a little bin of some little fallen down branches and sticks that I broke up, and just threw in a little box on my porch to keep in case I want to mess around with some ferrocerium rods and stuff, and starting little fires. But you've seen what I've done before. Matter of fact, probably put a picture up from videos of what I've done in the past. Screenshot from one of the videos where I've done that in the past. But I'd take one of the little metal tins and fill it up with some sticks and then be, roasting hot dogs if I needed to eat and stuff. But that's one thing. I also have two kerosene heaters. One is a radiant kerosene heater, which right now I'm actually using as a camera tripod. Got my camera on top of it, but I have a box radiant kerosene heater, and then one of those regular round kerosene heaters, which I featured on my YouTube channel, and I think I even showed this one too in that same video. But I have two Redstones from Tractor Supply kerosene heaters, where in the event if it got super super cold, where temperatures were below freezing, where you run the risk of everything freezing up, and I couldn't run my furnace, I'd resort to my kerosene heaters to stay warm if I had to. Now, right now, the temperatures are roughly in the 30s, so what I would try to do more is just use my sleeping bags, throw on my winter coat, and layer up on the clothes. One thing I would recommend doing is getting some sort of like kind of flannel. This is kind of a thinner flannel, but I got a thicker one. But get you in a couple of flannel shirts, put those on. Some what they call long john. I always call them long johns, is what my dad always called them. But thermal long underwear and stuff, and winter coat. I would use my spring and summer sleeping bags. I don't have a winter sleeping bag. I do plan on getting one of those nice winter sleeping bags, but I don't have one currently. But I just have about three spring summertime type sleeping bags, and I would set that up, get those out, cover myself up with those to keep warm and stuff, along with extra layer of clothing. My winter coat, I have two of those, so I'd at least grab the better of the two and put that on me, and if I could, maybe put the other one over top me and then one over top me, and I'd bundle up nice and warm to stay warm and stuff. That's what I do. Excuse me. In the near future, I plan on out back here of the property I live on. I plan on in the near future getting a shed and building like a little off-grid like solar tiny house with wood stove, and if I do that, then in the event of a power outage situation in a winter storm, I would then shut my main house down and then go out back into the little tiny house shed and fire up the wood stove and use that to heat and the solar setup and stuff. I do plan on building one of those in the near future. Currently, money is an issue right now, so I can't afford to do that, but when I can safely do so, I want to build like a little kind of two-room tiny house structure out back here for emergency backup kind of guest house thingy. But that's what I would do in this situation. Is right now I would just for heating purposes, depending on the temperature and stuff. Right now it's about 30 something, like I think like 35, 33, 32, something like that Fahrenheit out right now, where I would just, like I said before, sleeping bags, a layer of clothing, a coat and stuff to stay warm and warm. And if it gets super super cold, like 20 something Fahrenheit out or in the teens, then I would resort to my kerosene heaters. I always use the kerosene heaters for the backup emergency when I absolutely 100% positively gotta, try to stay warm. And if I had a gas generator, which that could run it, I also have electric heater, but I don't have a generator or a solar setup to run that electric heater. And before I did that, I would resort to the kerosene heater because it would make more sense than trying to run electric heaters, because electric heaters take up a lot of power to run them, a lot of wattage to run them and stuff, and to me it just wouldn't make sense where I just resort to the gas kerosene heaters first in that situation. But so yeah, and worst case scenario, I have a car, so I can always my $300 clunker car. Worst case scenario, if I could get it to start in super cold temperatures, I could always potentially, set in the car and let it idle a little bit and run the heater in that for a short period of time and stuff and things. One thing to always keep in mind if you're using any kind of heater, I know some people use those Mr. Heater propane some people call them Mr. Heater, Mr. Buddy Heater, little portable propane heaters, Always make sure you got gas for that and stuff. I know I got gas for the kerosene heaters where I'm set for at least I imagine a maybe a couple of nights, until would have to venture out to get more. So, but always make sure whatever heaters you're gonna use, make sure you have fuel for them, and stuff. Make sure if you're using a gas generator, make sure you got fuel for your gas generators. Solar setups, make sure all your solar setups are charged up. Like in the electrical situation, I have a little solar light kit that I will be using. I showed it on this YouTube channel before, that little yellow battery operated solar kit. I got that charging up, so I got that nice and charged up. It's actually been on the solar panel for a couple of days charging up, so in the event power goes out, I could plug that in and use that for lighting the sea, or I have my DeWalt batteries already charged up where I could also use my DeWalt lights to see and stuff in the event of a power outage situation and stuff. And I always make sure, food wise, I went to the dollar store earlier today and bought me some stuff to make sloppy joes and stuff, the meat, the ground beef and some man with sauce to make sloppy joes. I have also in the past just bought some taco seasoning in case of quesadillas, tortilla shells and stuff and just basically made some kind of tacos and stuff. But always make sure you have some sort of backup ID plan for cooking, heating, and all that stuff. Like I've in the past had those little one burner butane stoves in the past. I had one of those that I used to use for an outdoor grill, but I don't have it no more because it rusted out on me because I left it outside like a dum-dum and it got all rusty and ended up throwing out. But I used to have one of those, and one of those would be come in handy. Make sure you can buy the little butane canisters in bulk and stuff. Or even in the camping section, they sell them little backpack little stoves that you can boil up a couple of cups of water and make you at least some ramen noodles to stay warm and stuff. I actually have some ramen noodles in my cupboards for in case I need to also help warm up, coffee, ramen noodles, whatever, and instant coffee would be good to also help keep warm and stuff. But for cooking, make sure if you just got an electric stove or a microwave, make sure you have some sort of backup way to cook. Whether it's a big old generator that can run electric stove or microwave or solar setup, or simply like a little butane stoves. You can get them pretty cheap for around $50 and some canisters with them and stuff. I do actually plan on getting another one of those for the near future, even though I already have a natural gas stove, but still I'd like to have another one of those again for just an emergency situation in case I couldn't get any natural gas to my stove. But yeah, or some sort of other type of propane cook stove and stuff. But there's lots of options out there. So, and for heaters or whatever type of heater you're using, always make sure you have lots of fuel for them. If you're using them little portable Mr. heaters that take the little green bottle propane heaters, make sure you have a bunch of those. Or some of them even have an adapter you can make to run your big old, I always call them Blue Rhinos because that's the brand, White Pro round bottle propane tanks that are common around my area. So those one's called Blue Rhinos. That's what I always call them, big old white pot belly little propane tanks. Make sure you have a good supply of propane tanks. Always make sure when you're using gas, any sort of gas fuel, make sure you're using it properly and safely and stuff, or any kind of gas cooker and stuff. But always have a game plan. If I didn't have my gas stove, I have a fire pit out back where I could simply chop up some wood, try to get a fire going, and then I would be roasting hot dogs or whatever. And if I had a cast iron Dutch oven pot, or which I don't have one, I would use that and try to cook something in that. And I do have a saucepan with lid on it where I could just go out to the fire pit and throw some beans and cook some beans and weenies and stuff. So that would be another thing I would use in a power outage situation if I had to cook and stuff. But yeah, always make sure to have a good game plan. Prepare ahead of time. Don't be one of those people going out panic buying and stuff. I work for a department store, and I've seen so many times where the winter storm's coming or it's already here, and people are like in the middle of the winter storm panic buying in this department store I work at and stuff, and I sat there to myself kind of chuckling and laughing because it's like you've been warned ahead of time. At the corner, winter comes every year in Michigan. It's one of those things that don't just say, old man winter ain't sitting there saying, oh, you know what, I'm not going to come today. I'll come this year. I'll come next year. No, it comes every year, always plan ahead of time. I usually try to run a month or so ahead of time before winter, in the fall time. I start thinking of a game plan, what am I going to do in this scenario or this situation, and that's one thing to think about, like I just said, sleeping bags, tons of clothing, in the real super cold weather where it's in the teens or 20s, my kerosene heaters to keep me warm and stuff. I have two of them, and I have some fuel that would last me a while to get me through a couple nights maybe and stuff. But always plan ahead. Make sure you got stuff. Like I just said before, that's what I would do in a power outage situation and stuff. But always plan ahead. If you're gonna, like me, I thought about, okay, so winter storm's coming. I better have some sort of backup meal that's gonna last me a couple of days in case power outage goes out, and I gotta resort to my gas cooktop. I think about what kind of meal can I make in a saucepan, a one pot meal, and sloppy joes is what I'm gonna go with, and with sloppy joes, you could easily dice up some onions, tomatoes, and some veggies and kind of mix it all together and make you a nice little sloppy joe burger stew, or get some tortilla shells and mix it in with some taco seasoning as well, and make you some kind of like a taco-y sloppy joe type, get creative and stuff. And if you happen to have a fully charged cell phone and you don't know what to make during a cold power outage situation, if you're already looking at YouTube and have access to YouTube, get on YouTube. There's plenty of videos out there, people showing how to cook a one pot meal and stuff, One thing I always suggest to people, have some sort of cooking pot or pan that you can use in a power outage situation to cook food with. If you gotta resort to a a gas grill, you can always make burger patties and stuff always, and maybe have stuff on hand to cook burger patties. These or some sort of pan to cook in. Make sure you have proper cooking utensils for whatever way you're gonna cook with. I plan on in the near future going on Amazon and buying a couple cooking sets, like a cast iron cook set, and I've seen some camping enamelware cook sets that kind of caught my eye, and I plan on in the near future buying a couple of them, and then doing videos about them and explaining why I purchased them and stuff for kind of backup situations and stuff. And so that's what I would do in the power outage situation. Just make sure you plan ahead, have a game plan, know what it is ahead of time before the storm comes, Don't be the day before the storm racing to the store trying to figure out, what do I need, Make sure you got everything ready to go, months in advance is what I suggest, or at least 2 weeks ahead of time. Winter's coming, make sure and stuff. And like for electrical, I'm going to be, if the power goes out and I need lights to see, I'm going to be using my DeWalt batteries that I already got charged up ahead of time for my flashlight setup, and my one little solar light kit that I talked about a lot on here. Here I got that charged up where I can safely run that to run lights. I would actually use that first because I can always, when the sun's out, recharge up my solar light in the sunlight and stuff when I need to and stuff when the storm is over and power was still out and stuff. So yeah, get creative. I also got a little tent. I have a little two person tent that I could easily set up in my living room if I had to help insulate my body and keep me warm. I got mylar tube link. I got a mylar tube tent that I can also use as a sleeping bag to keep me warm. And I also have a one mylar blanket. I also have my Arcturus survival tarp blanket I could use too to keep me warm and stuff. And those are things you can go practically every department store like Walmart. They all have a camping section where you can get some cheap mylar blankets and stuff, and little funny little fold up. And if that's all you can afford, hey, that's better than nothing. Me, I got three basic springy summer sleeping bags. I suggest if you don't already got a good sleeping bag for winter use, like a spring and summer sleeping bag, I suggest go to your local Walmart and in their camping section get you a couple of sleeping bags and stuff. And then one trick you could always do is to help insulate too, set up a little in your living room, a little tent or whatever, and maybe put an inflatable air mattress to help kind of keep your back insulated from the ground. Because sometimes if you're like my house has a old drafty basement where the cold air would come up, and I could you know insulate myself with that and have a little air mattress in there, so I ain't sleeping directly on the floor of it, to help with insulation and stuff. Get creative. Think about it. That's what I do and stuff. And what I would do is if it got super, super cold and I didn't have these heaters, I'd set up my little two-person Lake and Trail dome tent. I would slap my Mylar tube tent inside of that as a sleeping bag, and then my three spring and summer sleeping bags over me and all kinds of clothing and stuff. I'd double up on this. I'd have a couple of these flannels. I got total of three. I'd have all three of them on me, my two coats, and maybe I got some blue jeans with fleece lining in it. I'd be having those on, and then another pair over that, and maybe even a third pair for that to keep me nice and warm and stuff and everything. And don't forget, they make thermal socks. My dad always called them hunting socks, but a good pair of thick wool socks, go a long way and stuff. And they make flippers. They even make heated vests and heated gloves. That would be a good positive thing to have as well and stuff. So there's many ideas out there. So always make sure you plan ahead. Don't be one of those people who get in the middle of a winter storm. Get caught with your pants down, and as I always call it, don't want to get caught with your pants down, and think ahead, plan accordingly. Don't be one of those people like I've seen many times racing to the department store saying, "Oh, I gotta get this, I gotta get that." Because if you're going during the storm, because I've seen this before, where right when the storm's happening, people are in the store panic buying, and 9 times out of 10, if you're doing that and you're one of those people during the storm panic buying, you're going to have a hard time finding what you need, because it's going to most likely be sold out before you even get a chance to purchase it. If you plan a couple weeks ahead of time, you'll have more luck finding what you need most times than not, depending on how well the store you shop at is stocked. You'd have better luck of finding what you need. Even if you just, the day before the storm, you don't want to be in the storm, because then you still might run a chance of not finding what you need and stuff. So I always suggest, winter's coming, plan months ahead of time. In the fall time, start thinking about what you're gonna do in a winter storm situation if you live in Michigan or any area where you get snow and bad weather. You want to plan ahead. If you know your storm seasons, make sure to plan ahead and stuff. Like here in Michigan, usually around come January, that's when we get smashed with snow and stuff, and usually November, December, that's when I start thinking about what am I going to do in these situations and stuff. And that's why I'm making this video, to help you people out and try to, to help you people out for those of you that are searching all over the internet, trying to figure out what to do in a storm situation. I'll recap what I said, what I would do for cooking purposes. I would use some sort of, I'm going to be using my gas range because I can manually light the cooktop with that with a match and be able to cook on that in a power outage situation. Or if I didn't have that, I would use some sort of charcoal grill and just gather up a bunch of sticks and twigs and break them up and cook with, or my fire pit out back to cook with if I had to, or a gas or a gas grill if I had one of those or one of those little butane stoves. Stoves is the methods I would use if I had to do like a cooking situation, and I definitely be ahead of time at the store looking at stuff that I could easily just throw in a pot and heat it up and stir it up, some sort of canned good, like maybe some chicken noodle soup or some sort of beef stew or whatever. Campbell's makes a ton of good canned goodies that would be perfect in a power outage situation. Even ramen noodles if you have one of them little backpack, little mini camping stoves, little gas stoves that take the funny little small canisters. Boil up your 2 cups of water and some noodles, and you're good to go there if you had to. And sleeping bags, I don't have any of those fancy, winter sleeping bags good for winter. I just have the basic old spring and summer style sleeping bags. That's what I'm going to use. I got 3 of them, so I'll be good. I got a Coleman, I got a Lincoln Trail, and then a Revival, I think it's called Revival Camp in my survival pack that I bought off from Amazon. The other 2 that I got, I bought at a department store that I work at. And so I'd be using them to try to keep warm, and multiple layers of clothing, coats and stuff. And then my 2 Redstone kerosene heaters, I would use those in the absolute worst of times to stay warm, because that's the backup heating source I got if I absolutely have to. And then for lighting, I'm just making sure all my DeWalt batteries are fully charged up, and my one little solar home system solar little cheap kit, I made sure ahead of time to when the sun was out earlier today to make sure that was charging up, so I have some lighting there with that and be able to charge up some things. And then I always make sure to have my cell phone fully charged up in case I need to call somebody for help or whatever the case may be. So that's what I'm going to do. I hope you find this this is just a throw together video. I hope you find it helpful and kind of gives you some ideas of what to think about when planning ahead. I have some survival kit stuff that I can also use, like the little Mylar blankets. I got two little Mylar. One's a little Mylar 210, and one is a little Mylar blanket that I can use to keep warm. One that I got from a little El Cheapo survival kit I did a video about on this channel. Then I also have my Arcturus survival tarp blanket cover that I have in my actual survival pack that I use for camping and hiking. I can always pull that out and wrap that around me to keep warm as well and stuff. And then I also have a little 2-person dome tent that I could set up in my bedroom or in my living room if I need to be trying to stay extra warm and stuff. So that's what I do. Hope you find this video useful. If you like this sort of content, give this video a thumbs up, share it with everyone you know, comment your thoughts below and all that stuff. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to help me, Boomhauer69, in gaining more subscribers and building up this channel and be able to do more content and stuff as well. Because by you subscribing, you're going to help me make that possible. And I hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching Boomhauer69's YouTube channel.